All right, hello everyone. We're going to talk today about what do we do with the fact that no one holds the USA accountable for its war crimes. You know, the USA can do whatever the hell it wants around the world and say, oopsie poopsie, we did an oopsie, and there's no repercussions. And we're going to start this off with a news story that broke over the weekend. So let's jump to that right now. So, Pentagon admits killing 10 civilians, including up to 7 children in Kabul drone strike last month. Quote, as the commander, I am fully responsible for this strike and its tragic outcome, said U.S. Marine Corps General Kenneth McKenzie. The U.S. is considering reparation payments to surviving family members, the general said. The Pentagon originally said the strike killed 2 ISIS-K fighters believed to be involved in planning attacks against U.S. forces in Kabul. The drone strike came after a suicide bomb attack by ISIS-K that resulted in deaths of 13 U.S. service members and dozens of Afghans near Kabul's airport. Yeah, so the Pentagon admitted Friday, so that would have been the 17th of September, that a U.S. drone strike in Kabul, Afghanistan last month killed as many as 10 civilians, including up to 7 children. And then the quote that we read earlier, quote, I offer my profound condolences to the family and friends of those who were killed, McKenzie said. So super cool. So the U.S. just drone striked 10 civilians in Afghanistan. Mind you, the person who they thought was the terrorist, why they bombed him and his family, was actually like a mutual aid worker or person. He was like helping people in the region by delivering like water and food and stuff. So they just killed 10 civilians and then they say, oopsie poopsie, we feel bad about it. And that's it. There's no repercussions. There's no consequences. Who is going to hold them responsible for this? No one. Like there's no one to hold them responsible. Like I bet they did not even get the targets they were aiming for. Oh, they did. No, they did. They did get the target they were aiming for. Unfortunately, the target was a civilian who they thought was part of ISIS-K. The target that they got was the right one, but their information was wrong. Like this strike was in the earnest belief that it would prevent an imminent threat to our forces and the evacuees of the airport, but it was a mistake. We really thought that killing these people was the right thing to do, but we fucked up. Like, imagine if Finland... Imagine if Finland were to bomb like Stockholm, like a family in Stockholm, and then we would be like, oh, we thought there were terrorists there, but there weren't. Sorry. Like, imagine the fucking uproar that would happen and the consequences that a country like Finland would have to go through for that, because Finland is a small country with a very small military presence compared to like the superpowers. It would be like so much shit that would happen because of that. But because of the US, nothing happens. No one gets tried, nothing. Just nothing. And this leads me to, in general, I just want to talk about the cost of war in Afghanistan. Like how much it has actually cost. This is from the Watson Institute International and Public Affairs. The war in Afghanistan continues destroying lives due to the direct consequences of violence and the war-induced breakdown of public health, security, and infrastructure. Civilians have been killed by crossfire, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, assassinations, bombings, and night raids into houses of suspected insurgents. Where's the numbers? Here. Key findings. As of April 2021, more than 71,000 Afghan and Pakistani civilians are estimated to have died as a direct result of the war. The United States military in 2017 relaxed its rules of engagement for airstrikes in Afghanistan, which resulted in a massive increase in civilian casualties. The CIA has armed and funded Afghan militia groups who have been implicated in grave human rights abuses and killings of civilians. Thanks, CIA. I don't think the US's reel has to be an elaborate prank. I wish. I fucking wish it was. So yeah, like over 70,000 civilians have died due to the US's actions. What are the consequences? Out of all the organizations in the world, the CIA funding war criminals? Whoa. Who could have thought, man? This is just so sick and it just keeps happening? Yeah, exactly. I think more and more developing nations, even developed nations of the West, are realizing that they'd rather put their alliances into alternative powers. I hope, but currently the problem is that our economy is so heavily reliant on the United States as a consumer base, because the consumer base in the United States is humongous. Like our economies are so interlinked that like the European Union saying like trying to hold the US accountable would be like, would be the death of our economy. Also, the US has military bases everywhere, which makes it really hard also to try to keep the US accountable, because they're like, we got military bases in your countries. What are you going to do? We're already there. No, the 71K is not done in a few months. No. This is as of April 2021. Yes, better. This is over the course of 20 years. This number, the 71K, is over the course of 20 years, not months. And this is not directly in Afghanistan, but just like US airstrikes killed at least 22,000 civilians since 9/11. So 20 years after the terrorist attacks on New York City's World Trade Center, September 11th, 2001, at least 22,000 civilians have been killed in US airstrikes during the war on terror, mainly in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. The minimum estimate counts around 11,500 civilian airstrike deaths in Iraq, 5,700 in Syria, and 4,800 in Afghanistan. Additional deaths occurred in Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan, and Libya. The maximum estimate by UK NGO Air Wars, which analyzed declared US airstrikes since 2001, is more than twice as high at around 48,000. So the exact number is a bit hard to say also, because as of the Trump administration, reporting on this stuff became a lot less prevalent, or it became a lot less documented. So also documenting the actual amount of civilians killed by the US is also difficult. So the exact number is somewhere in the tens of thousands. You know, this report says that it's 71,000. Statista says it's 22,000. The NGO Airways says it's 48,000. So it is a bunch of different numbers, but we're somewhere in the 20 to 70,000 range of civilians that have been killed. So the global economy is so super dependent on the US that holding them accountable is really difficult, almost impossible at the moment. The USA just keeps killing civilians and saying, oops, oopsie poopsie, when they do apologize, because no, they don't always apologize. Sometimes they just do it and they're just like, yeah, whatever. Them apologizing is not the usual case. But on top of that, even if, let's say now that this happened, that, what's his name? US Marine Corps General Kenneth McKenzie, let's say that we wanted to take him to The Hague and try him for war crimes, let's say. Can't do that because the US has something called, that is nicknamed the Invade the Hague Act, or the American Service Members Protection Act. The point of this is the ASPA authorizes the President of the United States to use, quote, all means necessary and appropriate to bring about the release of any US or allied personnel being detained or imprisoned by, on behalf of, or at the request of the International Criminal Court. So if we would try to take, let's say, this general to The Hague to try him for war crimes, the US could invade The Hague to get him back to not be tried. So even if European countries wanted to do something, there's this thing in place where it's like, well, what the fuck are we going to do? The US is going to invade. Like, it's ridiculous. Invade back with fucking what? The US already has military bases everywhere. Just play offline. Fucking shitter. US is still top dog, sadly. Yes, it is currently the top dog, which is the reason why it can so openly do this kind of stuff with no repercussions. But yeah, to cap this off, I think what needs to happen is that, you know, US military presence around the world needs to lessen, because, you know, as long as the US has military bases every fucking where, holding them accountable is really difficult because they can just launch attacks from any fucking place that they want. And then trying to lessen our reliance on the US economy, which of course is really difficult. I'm not saying like just do it forehead. No, if these things are lessened, then there is a chance to hold the US accountable. But currently, like, who is going to hold the US accountable? The only power that could do this is like China. But even with China, the problem is that China's economy and the US economy are really heavily interlinked. So if China was like, we're going to hold the US accountable and essentially go to war, their economy would suffer a lot as well, as with the US's, of course. So there's not that interest to go to war with the US, and they're like the only ones who could do it, maybe the EU. But yeah, again, same problem with the EU, and the EU not being as organized. So the situation is really shitty. There's no one who can hold them accountable. The USA keeps doing these war crimes and just saying oops, and then nothing happens. And this is the reason why these countries that are the US's war crimes to hate the US so much. And this is really, it's really shitty and it sucks. And I wish there was an easy way out of it, but there really isn't. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you very much. Also comment if you made it to the end of this video. Please let me know. Comment down there that you made it to the end. That would be awesome. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on twitch.tv/funwithfondue. Love to see you there. Link is in the bio down there. Also, liking, comment, subscribing, that would help.
I'm gonna come.
Liking, comment, and subscribing would help the video spread. So that would be nice. And hey, have a great day. Check the video out over there, and I will see you in the next one.